Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you're a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacosio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica here at the Child Care Director's Chair podcast, and I have a question for you. What if the most powerful tool for building strong relationships with children isn't strategy, not a behavior chart, or curriculum, but a conversation? Today, we're talking about why meaningful conversations matter, how talking with children instead of talking at them builds trust, and how simple daily interactions can transform relationships. Today, we have one of my friends, Mr. J. You know him as your child's favorite pre-K teacher. You know him from IG or any conference pretty much on the Eastern Seaboard. So welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, we're always happy to have you. You've been on the show a couple times, and you're
Yes,
coming back till the mic shuts off.
yes.
So let's talk about it. In early childhood education, relationships are the foundation for everything we do. When
Yes.
children feel right, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel respected, learning follows. So talk to me a little bit about why it's so important. Like those that are listening, like what do they really need to understand why it's so important in the work that we do?
First, I think is important because it teaches you how to have a peer-to-teacher relationship. If you're not interested in getting to know your babies, then you already starting off wrong with being inside of the classroom. I think being able to have just a simple conversation or a simple conversation started like, hey, I like your shoes. Hey, or you got nice beads in your hair today. Just giving affirmations. I think these things build character. It builds confidence for the babies. It also helps the babies feel like they belong somewhere. A lot of these kids come from home. They don't feel like they belong at home with their own family, with their immediate family. So when you talking about coming to a place where they have no intimate family or they don't know any of the adults that's in this building, you want to create an environment where babies are able to speak. They want to speak. They're not afraid to speak. And when you're dealing with ECE, early childhood education, all these babies come in with high anxiety. They don't want to talk to nobody. Me being a male educator, and especially an African-American educator, it sometimes hinder the babies and scare the babies away to want to talk to someone who looks like me if they never seen anyone like me. So to have those meaningful conversation with these babies, you find out their interests, you find out what they like, you find out what they don't like, you find out if they don't like you. So you change your ways and you change, your perception of how you want them to be, how you want to be received. I just feel like having these simple conversations and using the correct tone set the atmosphere inside of your classroom, inside of your whole school building, if you ask me.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you bring up, like you had said, like talking about like I like your shoes or I like your
Yeah.
beads. There's a little girl at our school. Her name is Barrett. And
hmm
she has like these rain boots. And Mr. Shea told her one day he liked her boots. And now all the time she comes in, she's like, Mr. Shea, what do you think about these shoes? What do you think about this purse? What do you think? Like she's always asking him about fashion sense, or what
Yes,
he thinks about her backpack or this or that. But she knows that he's interested in
absolutely.
what she's bringing to the school. So I see it all the time in real life in my own center. So
hmm
what's the difference between talking at children and talking with them? And why does that distinction really matter?
So I'm glad you asked that. And if you guys come to the conference, you can get some of these great gems. But I like the fact that you asked that. So I use this thing to say, stop saying you and start using we. And what I mean about that is normally when you're having conversation with students, especially when they're having challenging behavior or they're just not following any type of rules, you always single them out and say, hey, you need to go sit down. I told you not to do that. You are being a trouble kid today. Instead of saying you all the time, start changing that conversation and redirecting that conversation to we. We all need to learn that what such and such did wasn't a great thing, but let's teach each other what we're supposed to do. We all need to learn how to line up and get in line today. We all need to learn how to put our hands on on our laps when it's time to eat. Start using teachable moments in the classroom, and that's meaning by the conversation. If I go to a kid and I say, "Hey, you need to stop that, and you need to do this. You're not gonna play outside today at recess time." You're gonna shut that kid down, and you're probably gonna shut 30 more kids down too, because they seeing that this kid is being, having consequences. He's being directed in a negative way, but it's scaring them. But once you start saying, "Okay, all right, guys, we are going to learn how to walk and how to learn line up for today for the class to go outside. We are going to set these rules and expectations for all of us to know how not to get hurt and things that will hurt us if we don't follow the direction." So you took that just one conversation starter or negative interactions and made it a whole group interaction, but you didn't just negatively redirect that kid and tell that kid, "Hey, you're going to have to go sit down on it." You said, "Hey, we all are going to have to go sit down and reset our brains to get ourselves together and redirect our bodies." Right? And in that moment right now, this is where you saying the conversations is way more important than just trying to redirect the child in a negative behavior. Right now, we taking this conversation, we making it a whole group conversation. We not directly singling out no kid. We making it a whole group. We're following direction. We're learning directions. And then after all of that, if you want to go back to that kid and say, "Hey, now you see that how we did it all together. Now can you come over and help us do it too?" You still not singling that kid out, but you showed them what you want. You modeled what you wanted to see, used his peers or her peers to show her what we wanted to see. And now we got a great direction, a positive direction. You got a great environment, classroom environment. And now kids understand, even when we get in trouble, Mr. J is not going to single us out and tear us down, but he is going to teach us in a teachable moment what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about classroom community, and I think using the word we, I think directors who are listening, I think we should also be using that with our staff, right?
Yes.
We should be using
Yes.
that language, like, because we are all one. We are one.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm not only just saying this just for our kids. These are things that we need to do with our own kids at home, with our siblings, with people around us every day. We need to stop just saying singling out people and just say, "Hey, we both need to see how we can fix this situation." And when you talk to people like that, you get a different interaction. You get a different reaction from them. So if you think you get a different reaction from grown-ups, you're definitely going to get a different reaction from kids too, because they're not used to you giving positive redirection to negative situations.
Yeah. How do respectful conversations support children's emotional development and sense of belonging?
It definitely builds their character. It definitely builds their self-confidence, because, like I say, once they feel like you're not tearing them down, you're not mad or you're not angry at them, it shows them, okay, my teacher is human. My teacher is something like my parents or my grandparents, someone who shows them affection and love and nurturing. Yes, they redirected me, but they doing it from a place of love. I feel like it sets the tone for not only that child, but for the whole community of kids that are in the classroom. I had nonverbal kids that come in my classroom that had no idea what I was saying. But once my students seen how I interact with that nonverbal kids, after a while, they start doing the same thing. It's either if I'm using gestures with my fingers, if I'm holding up signs to show them visual cues or visual aids, if I'm getting down on my knees talking to them, you start to see kids, do these type of things, repeat these things, because they're seeing the person that the overseer of the classroom doing these things. Who don't want to feel good? Who don't want to have a positive interaction with their teacher or with their friend while they're inside of a school building, or while they're inside of a playful place where they can play with each other? Everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something. So once you get that kid to feel like, okay, I'm safe. Yes, my teacher telling me what's right from wrong, but I can take it because I know I was right. I mean, I know I was wrong and I need to fix my action. That's a different type of environment, instead of being in an environment where you're trying to redirect the kid and they don't want to listen to nothing you have to say because they know they're going to get a negative reaction from you, right? So it's a big change. I definitely feel like it builds confidence. It make the kids feel like, okay, I have something, expectation to live up to. Also, once they start living up to that expectation, they hold their peers to that expectation. I tell people all the time, when I go out and I start doing my speaking engagements and I'm not at school with my babies, no matter what you do in that classroom, when I get back on Monday, My baby's gonna tell me everything that's been done in that classroom because it's an expectation that is being held in that classroom. They know I hold them to that expectation from the day 1 in August to the last day in May. And when I'm not there, they're gonna hold whoever come in there to that expectation, and they're gonna want you to follow the same rules that they're following. And even if somebody try to buck the system, they're gonna say, Mr. J don't let us do that in this classroom. And that's how you know you have a good classroom environment. You're setting good expectations for your students. But not only that, your students want to be a part of it because they understand the positivity of them being togetherness, us keeping our kids together. I mean, keeping our self together, keeping our emotions together. Self-regulation is something we big on in that classroom. So these are things that we talk about. And I talk to my babies every morning in large group just to have those little bitty 5 minutes of fame. I call it 5 minutes of fame. And what it is, I let everybody in the classroom say what they want to say first thing in the morning. Because you can't just call on one because the other one gonna want to say something, then they're gonna get mad. But just being able to let them voice their opinion just that one time, open up a whole horizon of just self-confidence and building who they are and their self-emotions. And half of the time, these babies don't get to say nothing at home. They don't get to talk to their parents. One, because their parents not interested. Two, because it'd be a bunch of gibberish and nonsense, and parents just don't feel like entertaining it at that moment. And then two and three, parents feel like they have no connection with their babies. If it's not something that is common sense, they don't want to talk about it to them. No, let's see what their brain is functioning. Let's see what they're talking about. Let's see what's really happening up there in their little mind and their little cognitive thoughts. We want to know. I want to know every day because they might say one thing that can help them get through the day by just having their 5 minutes of fame. So I definitely think it builds confidence and it helps them feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving them an opportunity where, again, they don't often get to just talk. Like, how often does somebody look at a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and say, "What do you think, Susie?"
Exactly.
They do
How do
not.
you feel?
They don't. How are you feeling today, right? So this is something I know you love, but share a little bit about what are some everyday moments like play, transitions, or routines where meaningful conversations can happen naturally.
So we like to one of my favorite just attention grabbers when we're getting ready to transition is Red Robin, yum. So normally when we do that, it's a funny little thing. We get attention grabber, everybody do their little funny rubbing their belly. But normally they start to talk about what? Something they want to eat. Cause they rubbing their belly. They're like, oh, I know Red Robin. Half of them don't know Red Robin because the commercial don't come on no more. But have they like, I know Red Robin or excuse me, my mom played Red Robin or anything like that. But they'll just say, oh, I have my favorite restaurant. Cause they ask me, Mr. J, where's Red Robin? I'm like, oh, there used to be a restaurant back in the days. You know, it used to be a commercial. It's a excuse me, it's a conversation starter. And by it being a conversation starter, it helps them come out and say, oh, well, me and my mom went out and we went to eat at a restaurant and I like to eat chicken nuggets. Or me and my dad went out, you know, they let you know if mom and dad together. They're just letting you know the dynamic of what's going on in the real world or their real world. And then you get to connect with that. You're like, oh, well, I go to, you know, with my kids to, you know, a restaurant too. We go to Golden Corral, we eat this type of food, or we go to Applebee's and we eat this type of food. But it opens up a conversation starter where you start to find out the kids' needs and interests and things that they do like. Like I found out the kid like chicken nuggets. Then I'll hear kids say, oh, well, my grandma gave me meatloaf. Kids, what is meatloaf? Like just conversation starters. And it helps you relate, like I say, school world with the real world. And you get to know some of their interests and you just get that and you just build on to it. You can say, oh, well, that meatloaf that you ate at the school today, I mean, yesterday with your parents, how many did you eat? Did you eat one? Did you eat two? I ate one and a half. So you still learning, you making conversation starters. The other friend might want to join in and talk about some things that they did with their parents. It definitely helps open up conversation starter with the real world when you're conversating and just having transitioning little techniques like Red Robin or I say, oh, O'Reilly. They don't know these things, but we learning. They'll say auto part. And here go one little, you know, kid say, oh, my daddy like going to the auto part store and things like that. So it's just fun little gestures and fun little old twist of things that we still use inside of my classroom to keep them going. But it's also a redirection resource for me, for my students when they're getting a little bitty chaotic or really noisy. And I can just say a phrase where I can get their attention. So these are a lot of little things. And the last one I like is the Mufasa. Ooh, you know how kids love Lion King. You know how the hyenas was when they seen Mufasa. So being able to talk about different movies, different scenarios, them saying, oh, I like cartoon. I seen Mufasa. It was sad. I was happy. Things just open up and just, it'd be wonderful and then a lot of experiences being shared.
Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot of different ideas that people could put into practice.
Yeah.
So, what role does curiosity and open-ended questioning play in building authentic connections with kids?
It plays a big role. I'm big about asking my kids how they feeling. I'm big about social emotional. So open-ended questions opens up a whole door full of things. I'm big about asking my kids how they feel. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling like a superhero? Are you brave? Are you brilliant? Are you inspired by something? And I use these words because I'm trying to open up their vocabulary. You got to understand that we dealing with 3, 4, and 5 year olds. So with that being said, I try my best to open up their horizon when it comes down to vocabulary. So open-ended questions helps with vocabulary. It helps them with being able to talk in front of other people, peer pressure, not being able to be so shy in front of others. But I have this thing in my classroom where it helps with all of that, where I use open-ended question. We have this reflection mirror. So we'll go to a reflection mirror and I ask one question is, how are you feeling today? And my kids will go up there to that mirror and they'll say, hey, I'm brave. Then you have another one come and she'll be shy and real. I'm like, well, how you feeling today? She'll be like, I'm shy. But I'm like, are you really shy? You're brave or you're beautiful. And she'll go up, she'll say, well, I'm beautiful. And no, and my other boy come, he like to fight all the time. I'm like, are you rough? He's like, no, I'm gonna be nice today. So I say, well, tell yourself you're brilliant. He was like, well, I'm brilliant. And these things that they coming up every day, and they just bringing them new things that they are, how they feel, and affirmations that make them feel good throughout the day. And you open up not only just building on their confidence, but that peer-to-peer teaching. These kids are teaching each other how to basically love themselves and how to love on others. And I'm just the overseer to just give them the resources and the strategies to just bring it on out. Open-ended question is a great thing when you're trying to build curiosity, build confidence, making them being able to be friendly and help them learn how to be friends and form friendships and just basically teaching them how to love themselves and how to care for themselves and things like that. So this reflection mirror is a big thing in my classroom when it comes down to open-ended questions.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap it up, let me ask you this last one question. What is one simple shift that educators can make tomorrow to strengthen relationships through conversation?
One thing I'm gonna say that's very, very important is, and especially with me being a male educator, your tone. One thing you need to know is your tone. And this something everything that I'm telling you all is something I experienced, not something I had to go on YouTube to find and think. These are things that I had to experience. One thing I had to experience that I really thought I had a hold of that I did not was my tone. Sometimes we're thinking that we're being passionate and being just, a forward and just want our kids to listen to what we're saying, but we're not listening to the tone that's being given out. We're trying to deliver and tell these kids we want them to do something, but the delivery is coming off real, real harsh. And I'm gonna just give you an example. I'm very passionate about teaching my pre-K. Everybody know that about me. I yell, I dance, I do these things. One instance happened with me when I first started teaching when I was in my classroom and we was yelling. I was yelling. I was like, hurry up and sit down, do, things like that. And a parent walked by and she heard me saying to the kids, hurry up and sit down, hurry up and sit down. And I was screaming. But what she did not know what was going on in this classroom was that I wasn't screaming. I was screaming at the kids, but I wasn't intentionally screaming at the kids, like trying to redirect them in a negative way. What she saw was me running behind the kids, telling them to sit down and hurry up and sit down before somebody get your seat and things like that. And she didn't know what was going on. So she went all the way up to the director office and told the director, yeah, this man, educator's back there, he's back there yelling at the kids. And he's telling the kids to sit down. He's yelling at them. He's running behind them and telling them to sit down. I don't think he has no control. So my director, being the great director she was, she came back there. We had an open window policy. She wanted to come and see exactly what I was doing. So when she come in, she seen me running behind the kids and telling them to sit down and things too. So she busted in. She said, Mr. J, what are you doing? Why are you running behind the kids telling the kids to sit down? Just to come to find out, we was in there playing musical chairs because it was musical and movement time, and we had just got up for a nap, and I was running behind the kids because I was being intentional and modeling what I wanted to see the kids do. And I was telling them to sit down because I was trying to teach them how to beat the next person to get in the chair before they do without, having chaos, without crying if you fall down, things like that. But this parent didn't have no idea what was going on. The only thing she heard was my tone. And that's why I want to tell you now, that day right there taught me something very, very important. Even though I was trying to be intentional, even though I was trying to be a positive teacher and a great teacher and be a teacher who model what he wants to see, sometimes you have to still pay attention to your tone and how it's being delivered out. Because sometimes people can portray what you're trying to say or what you're doing inside of your classroom because it just sound different to them. And once I told it to my director, she just shook her head and just walked back out. Probably she laughed at me at the end of the day, was telling me what the parent had said and things like that. But that taught me that I need to make sure that I need to always pay attention to my surroundings, but I need to make sure that my tone is correct when I'm getting ready to redirect these babies. No matter if we playing a game or not, I need to make sure that my tone is real polite, not too harsh, not too deep, in a way where it sounds like I'm harming a kid or I'm trying to belittle a kid inside of my classroom. So if you don't take anything away from this chat that we talked about today, when you're talking about kid conversations with kids, having strong, mental, simple conversation with kids to redirect them, or just to have a simple conversation just to see what their interests are, make sure you're using the right tone with them. Because one little mishap with your tone can shut a kid all the way down, or it can make it look like it's something that it's not from the outside in.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, guys, if this conversation has sparked something in you, this is just a preview of the relationship-centered learning that you will experience at the Early Childhood Empowerment Conference happening May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Crown Plaza in Warwick, Rhode Island. So if you're ready to deepen your connections with children, strengthen your classroom relationships, and learn practical strategies that honor children's voices, this conference is for you. So come join us below. Definitely take Mr. J's session. He was there last year. For those of you who came last year, you got to see him speak on the main stage as our keynote. He's coming back this year, and we are so excited to have him. So again, get your tickets below. Click the link. See you there. Have a great day, everyone.
All right, everybody.
Thanks, Jay.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Child Care Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacosio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.